Hey everybody, welcome to writing day number 7. And if you're here, this is section 3, which is writing your body paragraph number 1. Make sure that you've completed section 1 so that you have your full thesis there in the proper format. Also, make sure you've completed section 2 so you have your introductory paragraph edited from last week, copy and paste it in section 2 of this document. So now we're ready to start talking about your body paragraph number 1. So that's that rectangle that you see there on this little diagram that we have to help us with essays. We've already done our introduction, and now we're ready for this first rectangle of this middle block, or something that we typically call the middle section. So here's some rules to guide you. First of all, use your full thesis. In a minute, I'm going to have you pause the video and actually list your points for in your full thesis from strongest to weakest. So which ones you think are your best points all the way down to your weakest. The second thing is you should devote at least one paragraph to every major point for in your full thesis statement. For the sake of this essay, I'm just going to have you pick your 3 strongest and do a paragraph for each of those. And then you want to start your body paragraph number 1 should be whichever point 4 you feel like is your strongest. But I want to give you a couple tips to help you understand which point might be your strongest. So how do you know? Here's some tips. First of all, just the one when you read through them that seems to jump out at you the most, seems to be the most true, the most powerful. The second point would be the one maybe that when you decided that this was going to be your thesis, this character was going to be the character that you filled in the blank of the thesis I gave you with. It's just maybe the point that made you think, yeah, that's who I want to do. That's the thing that you thought about right away, why you picked that person right away. And then maybe just the strongest when you think about it just as a reader, and if you were a neutral reader just reading the book, which one would sway you the most. So that's a way to decide which ones are your strongest. Now I want you to pause the video and put them in order just on your points for. Do that now. Okay, now that you have your points for in order from strongest to weakest, you should know which point 4 you're going to use today to write your body paragraph number 1. One thing that I want to talk about, though, now that you can kind of see the 3 points that you're going to use for this essay, is don't lock yourself into a set order. You're going to write that first paragraph today, but once you're done with all 3 of your paragraphs here in the future weeks, don't be afraid to look at it and think, you know what? Actually, the second paragraph that I wrote, I think, is my strongest point. And don't be afraid to then just switch them, copy and paste and switch, or cut and paste and switch the order. So don't commit yourself in advance. Be willing to adapt if as you start writing, it just becomes obvious that one of your points is just stronger than you thought it was going to be. Now, we need to talk quickly before you start about how to write a body paragraph. So you're taking your strongest point, the one at the top of your points for, and you're going to turn that into a paragraph. Now, one thing that'll help you is a body paragraph is quite a bit like a race paragraph. You're going to start with your point 4, kind of your answer or your statement that is supporting your thesis. So you just look at your points 4, and you need to do a sentence that includes that point 4. So you need to say whatever it is, whatever that strongest point is, needs to be right at the beginning in your first sentence. And then you need to provide evidence. So you need to provide evidence from the book, and then use your own analysis to explain that evidence. And you really need to show how the evidence that you use, whether it's a scene or you mention the character's interaction or you actually quote a part from the book, make sure that you explain how that supports this point that you're making in this paragraph, and also how this paragraph and that point support your thesis, which is the last sentence of your introductory paragraph. I will be available walking around if you have questions about how to get started with your first body paragraph. So feel free to ask me and use me as needed. So you're going to stop this video now and start writing that first body paragraph.